I just stared at him in pure shock. The man I loved, right? He looked his 8-year-old son in the eyes, pointed right at me, and said, "Don't trust her, buddy. She's a liar who doesn't even care about you." In that one single moment, like my funny, sweet boyfriend vanished. He was replaced by a stranger who just wanted to use me as a free live-in nanny. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This post is from the subreddit r/relationship advice, and it's by a user named not_mama_burnout. They're asking, not sure if I should break up. I mean, let's just dive straight into this post. I'm 27, female. My boyfriend Jake is 29. He has an 8-year-old kid named Timmy. We started dating a little over 2 years ago. I want to make it super clear that in the beginning, everything was amazing. Jake had full custody of Timmy, and honestly, I never had a problem with it. Jake was like the funniest person I had ever met in my entire life. He was the kind of guy who would go out of his way just to make everyone in the room laugh. Our relationship was super active because Timmy was always with us. We were always doing fun stuff. We'd go skiing, hit the roller skating rink, or drive out to the beach. We felt like a real team, and I loved that. But then, about 6 months into dating, things started to shift. It didn't happen all at once. It started so small I barely even noticed. I was helping Jake with his budget one day. Money was super tight for him, and we realized Timmy's after-school daycare was way too expensive. The hourly rate basically doubled during dinner time. Jake looked totally stressed out and asked me a simple question. Since I got off work a bit earlier, would I mind picking Timmy up? It would cut off that expensive dinner hour and save him a ton of cash. I said yes. Honestly, it wasn't a big deal to me. The daycare was right on my way home. I'd pick Timmy up, and he would happily play video games for about 45 minutes while I studied for my master's degree. We'd just chill until his dad got home. It felt good to help my boyfriend out. But looking back, that was the exact moment the trap was set. Fast forward a bit. I finally got my master's degree. I was so proud of myself, and with my new job came a much more flexible schedule. I thought my life was finally going to get a little easier. Instead, Jake saw my free time as his free time. He started pushing me to go to work an hour earlier in the morning. Why? Because if I started earlier, I could get off earlier, pick up Timmy earlier, and save Jake even more money. We had a huge argument about this. I mean, I had worked hard for my degree, and I wanted to enjoy my flexible schedule. But he just kept talking about how broke he was. I felt guilty. I knew he was struggling, so I caved. I gave up my comfort for his bank account. Then, 5 months ago, my roommates moved out. I needed a new place, so Jake and I decided to move in together. It felt like the next natural step in a serious relationship, I thought. But almost immediately after I unpacked my boxes, Jake changed his work schedule. He pushed his shift back an hour, claiming it was easier to get Timmy ready for school if they didn't leave at the same time. What did this mean for me? It meant I now had to watch Timmy for an extra hour, all by myself, every single afternoon. Again, we fought about it. Again, he made it sound like I was being unreasonable and not caring about his kid. Again, I gave in. If you think that was bad, oh, it gets worse. Next, Jake decided he was going to start hitting the gym right after work. Let me paint a picture of our weekly schedule. Monday through Friday, I woke up early and went to work while Jake and Timmy were fast asleep. Jake would wake up later, put Timmy on the school bus, go to work, and then go straight to the gym. He wouldn't come home until Timmy was literally asleep in bed. And me? I worked a full day, picked up Timmy, and was a solo parent for 5 straight hours. I cooked dinner, did bath time, and put the kid to bed all by myself. Every single night. When I finally told Jake I couldn't handle this anymore, he lost his mind. He screamed in my face that I wasn't taking his physical health seriously. It turned into an ongoing toxic fight for months. Then, right after the new year, Jake dropped a bomb. He announced that 8-year-old Timmy was old enough to get himself ready for school in the mornings. Because of this, Jake was changing his work shift to 12 p.m. to 9 p.m., including Sundays. He wanted to work out in the mornings instead. With this new schedule, Jake would only see his own son on Wednesday afternoons. That was his only day off. I was expected to provide 100% of the childcare for the rest of the entire week. I looked him dead in the eye and said, absolutely not. I told him this was way too far. He exploded. He yelled that I wasn't being a team player for the family. And when he realized screaming wasn't working, he did something evil. He pulled Timmy aside. He looked his young son in the face and told him not to trust me. He told an 8-year-old not to listen to a word I said because I was a liar who was faking caring about him. I didn't argue anymore. I grabbed a bag and left. I've been staying at a friend's house ever since. After a few days of ignoring him, Jake begged to meet up. I agreed because honestly, I wanted to think things through clearly. When I met him at a cafe, he tried to act super sweet. He immediately tried to guilt trip me, saying Timmy was at home making a giant welcome home sign for me. It was gross. I cut him off and pulled out a piece of paper. I had done the math. I showed him that I was providing 50 hours of active childcare a week while he was providing barely 4. I told him I hadn't had time for my own hobbies, the gym, or even a date night with him in months. I told him if he wanted me back, everything had to change. He didn't even listen. He just pulled out his own list of demands. He told me his mom thought Timmy needed help with his reading, so he expected me to start tutoring him on top of everything else. I told him no. I absolutely refused. He just shrugged and said I'd come around. Then, the crazy part. He complained that me moving out put him in a huge bind for childcare. He actually asked if I would come back and watch Timmy for him the next day anyway. I told him I would only help for a few days if we sat down with Timmy, and Jake admitted he lied about me being untrustworthy. Jake refused. He said me leaving proved I couldn't be trusted. Then he had the nerve to ask if I would chaperone a trampoline park birthday party for him. I laughed in his face, told him no, and he walked out. Yesterday, my friends helped me pack the rest of my stuff. It hurt so much because the manipulation was so slow. The first 45-minute favor was totally fine, but he just kept pushing and taking more. When I finally said no, he gaslighted me and acted like I was being crazy over one small schedule change. I'm heartbroken because I missed the funny guy I started dating, but I finally realized that guy was an illusion. Thank you all for making me realize I'm not crazy. All right, let's look at what the community had to say about this total mess. Kat Vanderoos says, "It sounds like he wanted a free nanny more than a significant other. You aren't this child's mother, and you shouldn't be expected to act like it. He was taking advantage of the situation and not being a present father. Telling that child you're a liar, though, that's a huge deal breaker in my honest opinion." Wow. Shoddy Cheesecake adds, "Him screaming at you is a red flag. Him seeing his child only once a week is a red flag. Telling the kid not to trust you? Another red flag. Geez, there are more red flags here than in a Soviet embassy. You don't get a master's degree and take on student debt just to be forced into nanny status by a controlling boyfriend." Ha! Asha1 points out, "The worst part is him talking smack about you to the child he strong-armed you into raising. You have big discussions every time he wants you to change your life, but he gets to decide his own schedule freely. You are being coerced." Finally, Jenki's gang says, "He just lost his free childcare. Of course he wants to meet up with you. Feel horrible that this kid's main parental person is out of his life, but your ex will find a replacement soon. He doesn't want to be a full-time parent." Wow. Just wow. OP, you are so incredibly strong for walking away from that. This story is the ultimate example of a toxic relationship tactic called moving the goalposts. He didn't ask you to be a full-time mom on day one. He just asked for 45 minutes of your time. Once you proved you were kind and willing to help, he slowly squeezed every drop of free time, energy, and youth out of you to fund his gym lifestyle. The part that makes my blood boil is him weaponizing his 8-year-old kid. He deliberately tried to destroy the bond you had with Timmy just to win an argument and force you back into submission. That is next-level manipulation. It's emotional abuse, straight up. It is completely normal to mourn the funny, charming guy you met 2 years ago. But you have to accept that the funny guy was just the bait. The real Jake is the guy who expects you to work 50 unpaid hours a week while he hits the gym and then asks you to tutor his kid after you say you're exhausted. You have a master's degree, a great career, and a whole life ahead of you. Go take those dance classes with your friends and never look back. Thank you for being part of this community, and before you go, If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe and don't forget to like this video.